Everyone deserves a second chance.
I honestly wouldn't know how to act. But please.
A loving, caring father from 3 beautiful little children.
But you also ruined a lot of lives and ended 3 lives.
Courthouses can be really stressful, but when we see incredibly charming women there, it completely blows our minds. Amber Perera. In a courtroom filled with tension, Amber Perera pleaded for a second chance while the grieving family of her victim demanded justice. The stakes were high, and the decision rested in the hands of Judge Christopher Sabella. But what led to this moment? What was the crime that shook the community? Perera stood accused of driving under the influence, causing a crash on the Lee Roy Selmon Expressway. Tragically, the collision claimed the lives of Luiz and Rita Felipak, along with their young daughter, Giorgia. The room fell silent as Judge Sabella prepared to deliver his sentence. Would it be a lifetime behind bars, as the victims' families hoped? Or would there be a glimmer of hope for Perera's future? Before pronouncing the verdict, Judge Sabella referred to a chilling recorded conversation played in court. In a moment of vulnerability, Perera confessed to a family member, "My life is ruined." But the judge's response was unyielding. Yes, your life is ruined. However, you also shattered the lives of many others. You ended 3 lives. The weight of the moment hung heavy as the courtroom held its breath. Did Perera truly understand the magnitude of her actions? Was this a case of recklessness or a tragic accident? But there was more. Witnesses testified about Perera's reckless behavior on that fateful night. Did she have a seizure while driving? Was she aware of the grave threat she posed to others as she raced across the expressway at over 90 miles per hour during rush hour?
Did you witness Ms. Perera have a seizure on that day?
Yes.
This is a woman who left her work in the beginning of rush hour and drove across the Selmon Expressway at over 90 miles an hour, running into the victim's car, which poses a grave threat of harm to the community if she is released again.
Your life is ruined, but you also ruined a lot of lives and ended 3 lives.
Alondra Marquez. A tragic incident unfolded on a freeway near Balboa Park when a young woman, Alondra Marquez, drove drunk, causing a fatal crash. In court, Marquez received a maximum sentence of 13 years and 4 months in prison for her actions. The crash occurred on March 23, 2019, on State Route 163. Witnesses recounted that both cars involved veered off onto the right shoulder. Sadly, the collision claimed the life of a 40-year-old San Francisco resident named Jiao Pham and severely injured Jiao Pham's friend Andy Lin, who was in San Diego for a wedding. During the court proceedings, it was revealed that both the victims and the intoxicated driver had been at the same bar, Rich's in Hillcrest, earlier that night. While the victims made the responsible choice of using a ride-hailing service, Marquez rejected multiple offers for rides home from friends and decided to get behind the wheel herself. Deputy District Attorney Callie Bright highlighted that Marquez's blood alcohol level exceeded the legal limit during the crash. Moreover, she traveled over 100 miles per hour, significantly exceeding the speed limit. Despite the gravity of the situation, several members of Marquez's family appeared in court, describing her as a good person and pleading for a lesser sentence. Marquez's sister, Alexa Marquez, expressed deep remorse, acknowledging that the tragedy should never have happened. She empathized with the frustrations of the victims' loved ones, but appealed for mercy, asking the judge not to punish her sister excessively. The victim's partner, deeply affected by the loss, addressed the court, recounting the devastating impact of Marquez's actions. They pleaded for justice, but also acknowledged the notion of second chances. As the courtroom fell into silence, Marquez tearfully and remorsefully expressed her sorrow, admitting that while she didn't remember the exact details, she recognized the magnitude of her mistakes. She acknowledged the irreversible consequences of taking someone's life and expressed her sincerest apologies to the victims' loved ones.
Everyone deserves a second chance.
I honestly wouldn't know how to act. But please, don't take it out on my sister.
So your actions that night took my partner, my world, my everything!
Jessica Araujo. Amidst tears, Jessica Araujo entered a Miami-Dade courtroom where her fate for DUI manslaughter would be decided. Friends and family offered their support while the widow of the man she killed wept with grief. Araujo, now 26, had been heavily intoxicated when she ran a red light in southwest Miami-Dade, colliding with a Toyota driven by 48-year-old Najib El Kadi, who tragically lost his life. Expressing remorse, Araujo addressed the victim's family, apologizing for the pain she had caused them and her own family and loved ones. Her attorney appealed to the judge for leniency, requesting a sentence below the minimum guidelines set by the state. They argued that Araujo had the potential to make a positive impact outside of prison. Support for Araujo also came from her cousin, who spoke about the pain caused by reckless driving. He recounted the story of a close friend, Javier Perez, a high school principal who lost both legs to a drunk driver. Araujo's cousin believed in her potential for change and shared his first-hand experience of the consequences of such actions. Described by friends as someone who had struggled with addiction but had since made positive changes, Araujo was portrayed as a good-hearted individual. However, Assistant State Attorney Benjamin Gallis highlighted Araujo's true character on the night of her arrest, emphasizing her heavily intoxicated state with a blood alcohol level nearly 3 times the legal limit. He also mentioned the presence of marijuana and cocaine in her car and her disrespectful behavior towards law enforcement and medical staff. The courtroom observed a mix of emotions and conflicting perspectives. While some sympathized with Araujo's struggles and believed in her potential for rehabilitation, others felt strongly that she should face the full consequences of her actions. Ultimately, the judge declared Araujo guilty, ensuring she would face the repercussions for her crime.
I understand and sympathize with your pain. I too have suffered an immense.
Amy Marie St. John. What led Amy Marie St. John, a Phoenix woman, to drive drunk and enter the wrong way on a freeway off-ramp? How did a tragic chain reaction accident unfold, resulting in the death of a taxi driver near Old Town? What were the circumstances surrounding St. John's prior DUI conviction and the warning she received about mixing alcohol and drugs? As the Superior Court Judge, Louis Hanoyan, acknowledged the tragedy for the victims and defendants' families, can anything truly mend the pain caused by St. John's actions? How did the judge grapple with the fact that St. John unintentionally drove onto the freeway, ultimately resulting in someone's death? In the courtroom, the victims' loved ones expressed their anguish and shared the impact of St. John's actions on their lives. How did the heart-wrenching statement from the victim's partner, mentioning their young child's longing for their father, affect the proceedings? That's it for today's video. Thanks for watching.
A loving, caring father from 3 beautiful little children. My 5-year-old said to me, "Mom, I wish Dad was alive, at least until I finish kindergarten."
You caused so many people unbearable pain and grief. You murdered Anthony Manassi.
It saved my life, and the only reason why I turned around is because he did say back up.